try not to be that guy that's bitter and hates all the really good sports teams, but it just seems to keep working out that way. In the 1990s, I hated the Yankees dynasty. Of course, that's because I'm a Red Sox fan, but even so. In the 2000s, I've still continue to hate the New England Patriots because I hate Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And not too long ago, I despised LeBron James and the self-made dynasty of the Miami Heat, who went to 4 straight NBA Finals. And now, and here's the funny thing, I really didn't have anything against the Golden State Warriors until now, because the Golden State Warriors have become the latest super team to ravage the NBA. And it's just kind of, well, no, it's not kind of, it's very disheartening. I mean, both as a fan of the NBA and a fan of the Celtics, who I kind of knew weren't going to get Kevin Durant, but I thought a more likely scenario would be that he goes back to OKC to finish what he started. But then I remembered, it's the NBA. No one really cares about finishing what they started. See LeBron James in Cleveland the first time, although at least he came back. It's just kind of discouraging. It is what it is, and that's what the NBA's always been. I find myself not hating Kevin Durant the same way I hated LeBron James, mainly because LeBron James made such a spectacle out of it. And I'm assuming that Kevin Durant's not going to, jump on stage with a flaming celebration of championships that haven't happened yet like LeBron did in Miami, but who knows at this point. So, the funny thing is, I actually kind of liked the Golden State Warriors. I liked how Steph Curry and Klay Thompson kind of came out of nowhere and just became, 2 of the best players in the league. I didn't really like Draymond Green that much, but otherwise I had no issue with the Golden State Warriors. I thought it was kind of cool how they surpassed the Bulls' all-time win record, and, it was a nice story, whatever. I know they didn't win the title, but they came pretty close, and, I wasn't like, oh, damn those Golden State Warriors, but now it's kind of like, really? Did you really need Kevin Durant? Really? It's just an example of the rich getting richer, while the rest of the NBA just sits idly by, and just by the way, it's not like the league would have been that balanced if Kevin Durant went back to OKC. Then you would have had Golden State still at the top of their game, OKC and maybe the Spurs, and everybody else with Cleveland. In the NBA, I feel like every year there's about 20 teams are going to suck. They're going to be okay, probably suck. There are no miracles in the NBA. You look at the history of the league, nobody below like a 4 seed wins the title. The playoffs are a joke. You get some good first-round series, maybe, like between Toronto and Indiana or something, but neither of those teams are going to win the title. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of disheartening, and it's kind of just boring, to be honest with you. The last 6 years, a LeBron James team has been in the finals. You've had the Warriors the past couple of years, the Spurs a few years before that. It's like the same teams over and over and over and over and over. Just winning the title, going to the finals. It's just boring. Yeah, I'm a Celtics fan, but I'm also an NBA fan. I like to watch good games. I like to watch good players go against each other, but I can't watch good players go against each other if they're all on the same stinking team. So it's just kind of like, even if Durant and LeBron had met in the finals, which would have been great, I know it happened once when LeBron was in Miami, but I don't really count that because LeBron was in Miami. But it would have been nice to see, like Durant versus LeBron now with, the Cavaliers and the Thunder. But now, even if the Warriors and the Cavs meet in the finals again, it's going to be Steph Curry versus LeBron, and Durant will just be on the other team. It's just, it just kind of cheapens it. I didn't follow basketball in, the 80s because I wasn't alive, but, had all these great players in the 80s and 90s coming up with different teams. Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, of course, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. You had all these players on different teams going up against each other, and that must have been fantastic. Even the 76ers were good then. You had just all these different players who, you had the Pistons, you had the Bulls, you had even the Cavs, I guess, weren't that bad in the 80s. I don't know, I wasn't there. But, again, that to me is a lot more interesting than, Golden State's going to win the championship every year. Because that's what it's going to be. At least for now. Maybe they won't win the championship, but they're going to be in it pretty much forever. And all these players are still in their prime. I was hearing that on the ESPN, what a great deal. All these players are still in their prime. Yeah, great. That means for everybody else, for the next 6 years, we got to watch Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and the Golden State Warriors win every stinking title. Fun. What a fun league, huh? Isn't this a fun league, the NBA? We get to watch the same 2 teams play each other for all eternity. I'm not a big NHL fan, but I do like the playoffs because I feel like everybody has a chance to win. In the NHL, I feel like the 7 and 8 seed can make it to the title game. They make it to the finals. In the NBA, you already know, The 8 seed's going to be out in the first round, most likely. The 7, 6 seed aren't going anywhere. The 5 seed might make it interesting, but, I mean, how often do you really see it? It's discouraging, too, with these super teams or whatever. And I know, I mean, in the past, when I criticized Miami for forming their super alliance, a lot of people pointed to the Celtics and said, oh, well, they made a big three. That was a little bit different because, for one, they had to trade to get those players. They had to trade assets to get Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen there. In fact, Kevin Garnett originally didn't even want to come to Boston, and I don't know why. He just didn't, and then he did. So they required them, and yeah, the Celtics won a championship with those three, but they weren't exactly dominant, and they still had the Lakers to contend with, and they still had Miami to contend with later. So, I mean, it's not like Boston just creamed everybody. And then the other argument for when LeBron left Cleveland the first time, oh, well, you know, they didn't give him a chance to win a championship. Isn't he supposed to be the chance to win the championship? Like, I don't understand this whole, like, superstar players, oh, they didn't give me a chance to win a championship. That's what you are. You are the chance to win the championship. I mean, if you, Kevin Durant, or whoever can't win the championship, then why do we have you on the team? It's such a weak argument, like, oh, they didn't put enough around him. They don't have to put things around him. That's why he's Kevin freaking Durant. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to have Steph Curry on your team, but did you really need it to win? I guess so. Because, I don't know, Stephen A. Smith had one of the best takes on this. You know, if Kevin Durant had just performed in the conference finals against the Warriors, then he might not be whining and bitching that he hasn't won a championship with the Thunder. He's had chances to win a championship with the Thunder. He's been to a finals. He's been in the playoffs. I mean, why is it the Thunder's fault that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook couldn't get their acts together when it counted the most? Why is that going to be the reason why, oh, well, OKC didn't have a good enough team around him? No, they had a fine team around him. They had Kevin freaking Durant at the head of it, and it's not their fault that he couldn't deliver. I mean, and then this whole thing, just like with LeBron leaving Cleveland, like, oh, well, they didn't give him a good team. If you put LeBron James on, like, the 76ers, they'd be a freaking great team. I mean, that's the whole thing with the NBA. One player can make a huge difference. And that's why it's just so annoying when there's only a handful of stars, 32 teams, and then they all decide to go to the same 2 teams. It's like, well, great, I'm going to have fun watching this. It's just discouraging. I mean, I'm not going to hate on Durant the same way I hated on LeBron, but at the same time, don't think I'm going to be rooting for Golden State. I mean, I'm going to be rooting against them now, which is unfortunate, because I was kind of just getting over that with the Heat, you know? The Heat were this behemoth for 4 years where it was like, oh, great, here come the Heat again. And then, luckily, the Spurs blew them out in the finals last time, but it's just like, I got to deal with this again now. I got to deal with more. Oh, here comes Golden State. Hope they lose. Like, I just hate it. I hate watching sports that way. I hate rooting against somebody. I'd rather root for somebody, but it just feels like I've had to do that in pretty much every sport at one point or another. And you know, for all the talk of baseball, and baseball was very unbalanced about maybe 10, 15 years ago when the Red Sox and Yankees were 2 of the best teams in the league and everyone else was just kind of okay. For all the talk of that, that's really settled down now. You've had different World Series champions almost every year, with the exception of the Giants, who seem to win every other year. But even them, you know, like, there's no dominant team in baseball. This year it's the Cubs, but, I mean, you could still see them losing, possibly. You could still see, you know, the Mets getting in there. You could see in the American League, you got the Rangers. I didn't mean to get into baseball, but my point is there are a lot of good teams, and in baseball, one good player doesn't make your team great. I mean, the Angels have Mike Trout, one of the best players in the league, and they stink, so it's just really discouraging that in basketball, there's really no point in watching it if you're not a fan of 2 or 3 teams. I mean, yeah, I like to feel good about the Celtics getting a couple good players, getting Al Horford, woohoo, yay, now they can lose in the second round, woo! Like, you know, it's just kind of whatever. I mean, I feel really bad if you're a fan of, you know, your Denver Nuggets, your Sacramento Kings, your 76ers. I mean, what do you have to look forward to? The only way you can get good in the NBA is if you just luck into one of those big draft picks, and that player is good, so that other superstars say, oh, I want to play with the good player, because I guess I can't do it on my own. And then you have to hope for that to happen. I mean, that's it. So, I mean, that's my take on it. I'm frustrated. I'm not, like, devastated like I was with the Miami Heat, but it is still discouraging that a team that won 73 games really needed to upgrade. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous, but that's the NBA for you. I'm sure whoever the next great player is will join some other big super dynasty, and we can all have a good laugh about it. So, let me know what you think. Kevin Durant officially to the Golden State Warriors for no apparent reason. So, have fun watching those finals again and again, and I will see you in the next video.